What if the person you loved more than anything in the world promised to return, only to disappear without a trace? What if the silence they left behind was filled with unanswered questions, fears, and a love you couldn't let go of? And then one day, they came back, but the truth behind their absence was far darker than you ever imagined. Can love survive the weight of their secrets? My name is Lily. I'm 29 years old, and for the past 5 years, I've been living in the constant shadow of a love that never truly left me. I run a small art gallery in the city. It's not the busiest place in town, but it's mine. I spend my days surrounded by paintings, sculptures, and photographs, things that make people see the world in new ways. You could say it's my escape. On the surface, my life looks like it's going well. But beneath the surface, it's a different story. My heart is still stuck in a place it hasn't left in years. With him, his name was Aaron. He was the kind of man who made everything seem brighter. When he looked at me, I felt like the center of his universe. He had this infectious smile, a way of making every day feel like an adventure, and a heart that beat only for us. The day we met feels like it was just yesterday. He came into the gallery, eyes wide with curiosity, a smile on his face as if he had found exactly what he had been looking for. We talked for hours about art, life, our dreams, and everything in between. There was an instant connection. I knew deep down this was something different. It wasn't just a fleeting romance, it was something that felt real. We made plans, big ones. We talked about moving in together, traveling the world, starting a family someday. It was perfect, but then, in the blink of an eye, it was all gone. Developed the situation. Aaron didn't just walk out one day. He vanished. No warning, no explanation. One morning, I woke up to find an empty space next to me in bed and a letter. On the kitchen counter, "I'm sorry, but I have to go. You'll be better off without me." I couldn't comprehend it. I didn't know what went wrong. What did I do? What happened to us? For months, I replayed everything, every moment we shared, every word we said to see if I could find a sign that something was wrong. But I found nothing. Nothing that would have prepared me for this. He promised me he would return. He said he needed time, that it was complicated, but he would come back. He swore it. And for the first few months, I believed him. I waited for his call, his text, anything. But as the days turned into weeks, the weeks into months, and the months into years, the silence became unbearable. His absence was a constant ache in my chest, a wound that never healed. I tried to move on. I forced myself to date other people, to push him out of my mind. But no matter how many times I tried to forget, his face would always appear in my dreams. His laugh, his touch, the way he held me like nothing in the world could hurt us. Love we shared didn't fade. It lingered, hanging over me like a fog I couldn't escape. Every morning, I told myself I was fine, that I didn't need him, that life was better without him. But I knew the truth. I couldn't let him go. Moment he returns, and then, one cold afternoon, the door to the gallery opened. I didn't think much of it. I was just another customer. I was in the back, organizing some new paintings, when I heard the familiar jingle of the doorbell. I didn't look up at first, lost in my thoughts, but then the air changed. I felt it. Before I saw him my heart froze in my chest, and for a moment, everything around me disappeared. The paintings on the walls, the soft music playing in the background, the smell of coffee brewing in the corner, it all faded. I looked up, and there, he was. Aaron. I couldn't breathe. My heart was racing, pounding so loudly I could hear it in my ears. I stood frozen, staring at him as if he were a dream I wasn't ready to wake up from. He looked different, older, maybe, but it was still him. The same dark hair, the same eyes that used to melt me every time he looked at me. He was standing. They're unsure, like he wasn't sure how to be in my world again. His gaze met mine, and there was something in his eyes that made my stomach turn. It wasn't just the familiar warmth, no. There was something darker, something I couldn't name. His mouth opened as if he was about to say something, but no words came out. He cleared his throat and took a hesitant step toward me. Willie, he finally whispered, his voice breaking the silence that had swallowed us. I know you must hate me, but I need to explain. Please. My chest tightened. I wanted to run to him, to throw my arms around him and tell him everything would be okay. But I didn't. I couldn't. Instead, I found my voice, quiet, uncertain, trembling. Where have you been? I managed. Why didn't you come back? You promised me you'd return. You promised. His face crumpled, like he had been carrying something heavy for far too long. I know, he whispered. And I'm sorry, but I didn't leave because I didn't love you. I left because I thought I was protecting you. I thought it was the only way to keep you safe. The confusion begins. I felt the familiar pull of his voice, the need to believe him, to feel the love we once shared. But the reality of what he was saying didn't match the man I had known. Protect me from what? From who? I shook my head, feeling the weight of years of unanswered questions crashing down on me. Protect me from what, Aaron? You left me with nothing but confusion, and now you expect me to believe you were protecting me all this time? What's the truth? Why did you leave me? He closed his eyes for a moment, as if gathering himself, and when he opened them again, I saw the man I once loved, but there was something else there now, something dark, something I wasn't prepared for. I'll tell you everything, he said softly, almost pleading. But you have to understand I wasn't just protecting you from me. I was protecting you from a world I never wanted you to be a part of, from a world I couldn't escape. I felt my heart beat faster. What was he talking about? What kind of world was he in? The uncertainty gripped me again, and my mind raced. Could I trust him again? Was the truth he was about to tell me something I was prepared to hear? Max stood before me, his eyes filled with a mixture of regret and pain. Yet there was something else, too, something dark that lingered just beneath the surface. The man I had once loved so deeply seemed like a stranger, someone I was no longer. Sure, I knew. We stood there in silence, the air between us thick with unspoken words. I could feel my chest tightening, the old ache of heartbreak returning as my mind raced with questions, each one more urgent than the last. Why had he left? What was he hiding from me? What had happened in the years since he disappeared? I didn't think you'd want to see me again, Max finally said, breaking the silence with a quiet confession. His voice was strained, his words coated with a deep sadness. I didn't think I had the right to ask you for anything, but I need to explain myself. I owe you that much. I didn't know how to respond. On one hand, the part of me that still cared for him deeply wanted to throw myself into his arms and beg him to take me back. But the other part, the part that had suffered in his absence, was skeptical. Could I believe anything he said? Could I trust him again after everything he had put me through? Why now? I asked, my voice trembling, betraying the emotions I was trying to hold back. After all this time, why come back now? You left me with nothing but questions, with so much pain, and now you're here asking for something I don't know if I can give. Max shifted uncomfortably, his eyes falling to the ground, avoiding my gaze. I know what I did. It was wrong, Lily. Leaving you was the hardest thing I've ever done, but I had to. I could feel my heart race, the anticipation of an answer I wasn't sure I was ready for. Had to? Had to do what? What happened, Max? Where did you go? Why didn't you come back? His face was etched with guilt. He opened his mouth, then closed it again, like he was trying to find the right words that might explain the years of silence. The pain he had left in his wake. I wasn't the man you thought I was, Max said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. I was caught up in something dangerous. Something I thought I could handle on my own, but I couldn't. And when I realized the depth of it, I knew I had to get away from you, from everything. I thought if I stayed, they'd come after you too. I couldn't let that happen. Who? Who were you running from, Max? What kind of world were you in? I asked, my voice tinged with disbelief. His words only deepened the mystery. It was clear that he wasn't talking about a simple misunderstanding or a falling out. He was talking about something much darker. I was involved with the wrong people, he admitted, his eyes full of regret. I didn't want you to be a part of that. I didn't want you to be dragged into my mess. And so I thought leaving you behind, cutting ties with everything I loved, was the only way to protect you. The shock of his words hit me like a physical blow. People? A mess? It didn't make sense. The Max I had known would never get involved in anything like that. He had always been so full of hope, so idealistic. What had changed? What had happened to him in the years that I hadn't known? You think I'd be better off not knowing the truth? I asked, my voice rising with frustration. Max, I waited for you. I lived my life in limbo, believing that one day you'd come back and explain. All of this. You can't just throw a couple of sentences at me and expect me to accept it. If you really loved me, you wouldn't have left me in the dark. Max took a step forward, his face full of emotion. I never meant to hurt you. I thought I was doing the right thing by protecting you, but I was wrong. I should have trusted you enough to tell you the truth. I didn't want to drag you into the mess I was in, but in doing that, I pushed you away when all I really wanted was to keep you safe. Developing suspense, his words hung in the air like a weight, and I couldn't decide whether to run to him or push him away. He had been part of my life, my world, for so long that the idea of him being involved in something dangerous, something I hadn't even been aware of, was almost too much to bear. What exactly were you involved in, Max? I asked, my voice now steady, but with an edge of desperation. You keep saying you were protecting me, but you won't tell me what happened. What did you get mixed up in? Who were these people? And why couldn't you tell me the truth? Max closed his eyes for a moment, as if preparing himself for what he was about to say. When he opened them again, there was a rawness in his expression, a vulnerability I hadn't seen before. I was in debt, he confessed quietly. Not just financially, but with people who weren't afraid to make things personal. I got involved with them to try and fix some mistakes I made, and it just spiraled out of control. When I realized how deep I was in, I had no choice but to run. I thought I could handle it, but I couldn't. And I thought if I stayed near you, if I stayed in this life, they'd hurt you too. His words crashed through the fog of confusion in my mind. Debt? People? It didn't make sense. Max had always been so careful, so thoughtful. How had he gotten tangled up in something like that? And why didn't he trust me enough to tell me, to ask for help? I should have told you everything, Lily, Max continued, his voice cracking with guilt. I thought I was protecting you by staying away, but the truth is, I just kept running and I hurt you in the process. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't deserve your forgiveness. But I had to come back and tell you the truth. The truth. That word echoed in my mind. I could see the pain in his eyes, the deep regret. But it wasn't enough. Could I trust him? Could I believe he had done all this to protect me? Or was there more to the story than he was willing to admit? Dialogue and inner thoughts. I stared at Max, torn between the man I had once loved and the person standing before me now, a stranger whose secrets seemed darker with every word he spoke. Could I let him back into my life? Could I accept the truth he was telling me? Max, I whispered, my voice barely audible. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can let you back in after everything. You left me. You disappeared without a word, and now you expect me to forgive you? To just understand everything that's happened? Max took another step forward, his eyes pleading with me. I don't expect you to forgive me, Lily. I'm not asking for that. I just want to make it right. I'm not asking for everything to go back to the way it was. I know I can't undo what I did. But I'm here now, and I'm not running anymore. The emotion in his voice was raw, but something inside me still hesitated. How could I trust him again? I had spent so many years in agony, waiting for this moment, and now that it had arrived, I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know if I could ever forgive him. The years without him had changed me. I wasn't the same person I had been when he left. Could we ever be the same? Max's voice was hoarse, his eyes never leaving mine. I could feel the rawness of his pain, the weight of his regret pressing down on him. But I couldn't escape the truth that hung between us. He had abandoned me, left me with years of unanswered questions and heartache. And now he was asking me to forgive him, to believe in the man he was today. I was involved in things that I couldn't escape. Lily, Max said, his voice cracking with emotion. I thought I could handle it, that I could protect you from it, but I couldn't. And when I realized how far I'd fallen, I knew I had to disappear. I thought if I left you behind, you'd be safe. But it wasn't just me I was running from, it was everyone around me. I shook my head, trying to process what he was saying. You're telling me you left because of these dangerous people? I asked, my voice wavering with disbelief. And you thought leaving me would keep me safe? You thought disappearing would protect me? Max's eyes softened with pain. I thought it was the only way to protect you. I thought if you were far enough away from me, they wouldn't come after you. But I was wrong, Lily. I should have stayed. I should have fought for us for you. The words he spoke were a crushing revelation, a flood of emotions I wasn't ready to face. The Max I had loved had always been strong, confident, always in control. But the man standing before me was broken, guilty, and haunted by the choices he had made. You left me with nothing, I whispered, my voice trembling. You didn't even say goodbye. I waited for you. I believed in you, and now you're telling me that it was all because of them, because of some world you couldn't escape? Max took a step closer, his hands trembling as they reached out for mine. I know I can't undo the past, Lily. I can't take back the pain I caused you, the hurt I left behind. But I swear, I never stopped thinking about you. I never stopped loving you. And I came back because I don't want to live with the regret anymore. I can't keep running from you. Tears welled in my eyes, the weight of everything that had happened over the years crashing down on me. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe that the man standing in front of me, so broken and vulnerable, was the same man I had fallen in love with all those years ago. But the hurt, the pain of being abandoned, was it too much to overcome? Cliffhanger or resolution, I took a step back, my heart racing. How am I supposed to believe you, Max? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. You left me. You left without a word, without a reason. You promised me you'd come back, and when you did, you had nothing but excuses. How can I trust you again? Max's face crumpled with regret, his eyes filled with tears that he refused to let fall. I don't expect you to trust me right now, he said softly. But I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. I know I've hurt you, but I'll spend every day of the rest of my life trying to make it right. I just need a chance. The silence between us was suffocating. My mind raced with 1,000 thoughts, each one more confusing than the last. Part of me wanted to forgive him, wanted to throw myself into his arms and forget everything that had happened. But another part of me, the part that had spent years rebuilding, Herself, after his departure, knew that it wasn't that simple. Had spent so long waiting for him to return, for him to explain, to apologize. But now that he was here, I realized that the answer wasn't as clear-cut as I had imagined. Could I forgive him? Could I let go of the pain he had caused me and give him the chance to prove that he had changed? Max reached out to touch my arm, his fingers trembling as they brushed against my skin. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but if you can't forgive me, then just ... Let me show you that I'm not the man who left you, and not that person anymore. His words, sincere as they were, only made me feel more conflicted. I could see the pain in his eyes, the rawness of his emotion, and I could feel the pull between us, the bond that had never truly broken. But I also felt the walls I had built around my heart, the walls I had spent so long constructing to protect myself from the hurt he had caused. I don't know, Max, I said softly, my voice breaking as I took a step back. I don't know if I can forgive you. I don't know if I can trust you again. You left me with nothing, and now you're asking me to forget all of that? Max's expression softened, but there was a vulnerability in his eyes that I had never seen before. He took a deep breath, stepping back as if giving me space, but not fully letting go. I'm not asking you to forget. I'm just asking for a chance, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. A chance to show you that I can be the man you once loved. A chance to rebuild what we had, if you're willing to let me. The room felt heavy with silence, the weight of the past pressing down on both of us. I could feel the pull of my love for him, the desire to believe in him again. But could I? Could I open my heart to him after everything? I don't know if I'm ready, I whispered, my heart aching with the uncertainty of the decision that lay before me. But I'll think about it. I need time, Max. I need time to figure out if I can trust you again. Max nodded, his face a mixture of relief and regret. I'll wait for you. I'll wait as long as it takes. As I looked into his eyes, I realized that this wasn't just about forgiveness. It was about healing. It was about whether I could let go of the hurt and trust him with my heart once more. Max had returned. But the question of whether I could truly let him back in was still unanswered.